At 09:19 am on March 6, 1944, a B-17 Flying Fortress named Hell's Fury, flying at 23,000 feet over Germany, was about to become the most dangerous aircraft in the sky. And this was all because of one man sitting alone in the plane's tail, watching 12 German fighters form up at 2,000 yards. Staff Sergeant Michael Mad Mike Donovan had a choice. He could do what every doctrine, every instructor, and every instinct for self-preservation told him to do: hold fire, wait for the fighters to commit, conserve ammunition, and react. Or he could do the one thing no tail gunner in the 8th Air Force had ever been authorized to do. What happened next would lead to one of the most radical doctrinal changes in the history of aerial warfare. Michael Donovan grew up in South Boston at a time when the neighborhood taught you one lesson faster than anything a school could, and that was that hesitation gets you hurt. His father worked the docks, and his older brother was a Golden Gloves boxer. By the time Mike was 17, he'd been in 32 street fights, won 28, lost 4, and started the last one. That upbringing was the operating system he'd carry into combat. When Pearl Harbor happened, Donovan enlisted in the Army Air Forces. They wanted him on the ground crew. He insisted on gunnery school, where an instructor told him he was too aggressive and too willing to expose himself to enemy fire. Somehow, he graduated 3rd in his class because he could acquire and track a target faster than anyone else they'd ever trained. In March of 1944, Donovan transferred to the 390th Bombardment Group at Framlingham, England. Hell's Fury already had a grim reputation. 3 missions in, the aircraft had survived 2 near-catastrophic fighter engagements, and her previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, had requested transfer after surviving them both. Captain James Whitmore, the pilot, sat Donovan down and walked him through the casualty statistics, but Donovan looked at him and said the odds worked fine for him. On March 2nd, Donovan got his first mission, which was to target the ball bearing factory at Schweinfurt. He ended up producing 1 confirmed kill and 2 damaged aircraft. But the number of kills wasn't what got people's attention, it was the method he used to do it. While every other tail gunner in the formation waited for fighters to commit to their attack runs before opening fire, Donovan was shooting bursts at aircraft still organizing at extreme range and forcing them to break formation early. The logic he applied was precise. 1 20-round burst at 800 yards that breaks up a fighter's attack run costs less than the damage that fighter inflicts if it's allowed to press home. The math, he insisted, worked every time. Then, on March 6th, Donovan went on the mission that changed everything. The briefing for March 6th was sobering even by the standards of the 8th Air Force. The target was an aircraft factory at Augsburg that had 800 B-17s. An estimated 2,500 German fighters were defending the route, which led to intelligence predicting heavy losses. Before they boarded, Donovan asked Whitmore for permission to try something different, which was aggressive engagement during the enemy's formation phase before attacks could be coordinated. Whitmore told him to do it, but if he ended up messing up, he was off the gun. Hell's Fury took off at 06:47. At 09:19, Donovan found 12 Bf-109s at 2,000 yards, forming up for a coordinated attack. Standard doctrine said wait for them to commit, but he opened fire immediately. Most rounds missed by hundreds of feet, but that was almost beside the point. The formation scattered before the attack even started. Whitmore ordered him to cease fire, to which Donovan refused. When the Germans regrouped, they came in cautiously. Still, Donovan fired again at 1,500 yards. His main mission was to intimidate them. The formation broke a second time, all except one, a veteran wingman who wouldn't flinch at suppressive fire. Donovan let him close, and at 1,000 yards, the Bf-109 filled his sights completely. He fired a 200-round burst over 3 seconds. The German flew directly into the stream of tracers, the engine exploded, and the aircraft came apart in the air. The remaining 11 split into two groups to divide his attention. Donovan called the waist gunners to cover 7 o'clock and concentrated everything on 6 o'clock. 3 Bf-109s fell in 30 seconds. The other 9 broke off entirely. What just happened was extraordinary. A single tailgun position had actually managed to drive off a 9-plane fighter flight. 15 minutes later, 18 aircraft came back from multiple vectors simultaneously. Donovan ignored everything except the 6 o'clock threat, walked his tracers into the lead fighter at 800 yards, then immediately shifted to the next at 400 yards. There, he aimed at where physics said the aircraft had to be, not where it was. Both fighters exploded within seconds of each other while the rest fled. With 380 rounds left and 48 fighters now organizing for a final coordinated assault, Donovan called Whitmore and asked permission to attack first. Whitmore gave him 3 seconds, then told him to do it. Donovan fired 200 rounds into the formation's center in 8 seconds. 1 fighter caught fire, 2 others collided evading, and the entire formation dissolved into chaos. Hell's Fury landed at Framlingham at 4:47 p.m., 9 hours after takeoff. The ground crew counted 47 bullet holes and 13 cannon strikes, a destroyed hydraulic line, and stress fractures in the rudder. Everyone aboard was alive. When Crew Chief Murphy tallied the ammunition, all 2,000 rounds expended, and cross-referenced the crew reports with radio intercepts from German communications and visual confirmations from escort fighters, the count came to 12 confirmed kills, 4 probables, and 3 damaged. By evening, representatives from 8th Air Force Headquarters arrived to interview Donovan. Major General Frederick Anderson, commanding officer of the Bomber Command, found him in the enlisted men's barracks cleaning his guns. Donovan explained his philosophy to Anderson, which was basically aggressive engagement during the formation phase and concentration of fire over defensive distribution. 3 days later, Donovan was reassigned to training command with orders to transform tail gunner doctrine across the entire 8th Air Force. What Donovan developed over the following month became known simply as the Donovan Doctrine. Its 5 principles were straightforward but represented a complete reversal of established defensive thinking. First, seize the initiative. Engage fighters during their formation phase before their attack plan can solidify. Second, use psychological warfare. Third, concentrate fire rather than divide it. Trust adjacent gun positions to handle peripheral threats and put everything into the most dangerous sector. Fourth, aggression is ammunition economy. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter costs less than 300 rounds engaging scattered targets after they've already committed. Fifth, and most controversial, accept personal risk in the service of the mission. The doctrine faced immediate resistance from traditionalists who called it reckless and from command officers worried about ammunition supply. But the statistics made the argument impossible to dismiss. In March 1944, before the doctrine spread, tail gunner casualty rates in the 8th Air Force averaged 38%, and German fighters completed 52% of their planned attack runs against bomber formations. By June 1944, tail gunner casualty rates had dropped to 23%, and German fighter attack completion rates had fallen to 27%. Donovan trained 300 gunners between March and August 1944, and by the war's end, graduates of his program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater.